Hello and welcome to Otune Radio and TV. I'm here today with an amazing, fantastic, phenomenal woman that we have all revered and watched as we grew up, all of us together. But her career has just catapulted into such a beautiful way. I have Rozalla Miller here today with us. I'll tell you a little bit about Rozalla. She's an electronic music performer and has traveled around the world singing, performing, actually acting as well. So we'll get into that a bit. So let me just welcome Rozalla.
Hello, Nicky. How are you?
A little nervous, but hey, okay.
All is good. All is good. It's lovely to be here with you.
Wow, this is such a fantastic opportunity for us. I would like to know a little bit about you more as an individual and your music. So many people have heard you, and you've just sent us your beautiful music for Christmas. But as a person, as an individual, and what inspired you to write the music you did and how you grew? I'm just going to be quiet for a moment so I can leave you to just continue and go with the flow.
Well, obviously I was born in Zambia, and all of my life, I've wanted to be a singer. Whoever was in my way, or I just used to say I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer, and then of course, I remember the first program I did in Zambia, Lusaka, was a children's television program where I performed, and then we moved to Zimbabwe, where my dad's Zimbabwean, my mom's Zambian, and my career continued from there. I joined a band, and we all used the first letters of the names that we had. The band was called Grab, and we went around performing around Zimbabwe. And then I thought, this is all great, but I want to, release material that's original, that has my name, Rozalla Miller, or Rozalla, as I later on became known. And when I look at my life back, I just think like, I'm learning about this manifesting stuff, So I'm thinking, I think I manifested all that, because the next thing that happened was there was a talent contest going, and I joined it, and I won all the hits, and the prize was a recording contract in Zimbabwe. And I went on to recording my own original material. The songs were written by myself and the Risiki brothers, who are based in Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow, yes.
And of course, yeah, those songs, did so well for me in Zimbabwe. And then, my dream came true, and I'm listening to my songs being played on the stations, and I thought, thinking, wow, this is great. And then I thought, I think I've gotten as far as I could in Zimbabwe. I want to be an international singer. And then lo and behold, there was this international producer that was on holiday in Zimbabwe, and was very good friends with a friend of mine that was a big supporter of mine on the radio stations. And, cut a long story short, I got introduced, and the label I was signed to in Zimbabwe believed in me, and they were called Grammar Records. And this producer from England said, I really need to get it to the UK to record material. And of course, I wasn't earning a living to make that kind of money to buy air tickets to come to the UK, but Grammar Records believed in me. Thank goodness. And they paid for my first 3 or 4 air tickets to travel to the UK to record material. And during that time, all the songs that I was recording, we were sending around to record labels to try and get a deal. At the time there were labels like CBS or Arista, and they write letters going, yeah, we love her voice, we want to sign her. And then in the next breath, sorry, we can't do this, we can't sign her. And so I experienced a lot of rejection, but somehow, although it dented my feelings, I had an urge and a strength to keep going, because I'm here in the UK, and I've got these guys in the studio in the UK that believe in me, and we carried on sending around. There were cassettes at that time, and one of these cassettes fell on the laps of they were known as a band of gypsies, Tim and Nigel. I call them my forever angels. They loved my voice. They got in contact with me, and I met with them, and they were like, what style of music do you want to do? We love your voice. I'm like, look, I'm African. I want to do songs that are, that'll make you want to get off your seat, or, lift your hands up in the air, clap and tap. And I wanted songs that had positive lyrics. So therefore, the Everybody's Free album was born. And if you listen to that whole album,
Yeah.
the lyrics are all positive. Therefore, the title track, Everybody's Free to Feel Good. And that's, yeah, that
Well,
was all.
actually, that song, Everybody's Free, I think it can be used right now. I don't think it's got a timeline. It's not time limited. It's because of after the lockdowns that we had, that was songs that we started playing. We started playing that and people started feeling it. And that's where we came out with, yeah, we got to find Rozalla and do an interview with her. It's very, very powerful. Did you write that one yourself?
It was written for me by Tim and Nigel. I remember going into the studio and Nigel said, I've got the lyrics, the chorus to this song, which I think is really positive. You're going to love it. And Tim's like, yeah, and I got the music. So here's the lyrics. And then Nigel gave me an idea of how he wanted me to sing the chorus.
Right.
And then he's like, you go in there and just feel it, just put Rozalla to it. And I was in the studio and I kept on singing the chorus of Everybody's Free over and over again and trying out different melodies and stuff until we got a take. And Nigel said, that's it, that's the one. Right, I'm going to write the lyrics now. I'm going to write the verses to it. And that's how Everybody's Free came about.
Well, that was fantastic. Before we go into your other songs, there was a little bit about you that I didn't actually know, was that you are an actress too, and you starred in quite a few movies. I just went onto your IMDb.
Oh, really?
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was, that's just a small part of my career. And I thought, maybe I look at it as sort of dabbling around with trying to be an actress. And I remember when we were in Zimbabwe, I had a small part, or rather I was, what do they call us? Just a spot in King Solomon's Mines.
Yes.
And I, so when I watch that movie now, my husband and I were watching it recently, sort of blink and you might miss me.
It was just a little bit, just there. But
just there. And then I thought, when I came to the UK, the manager I had then said, you got to continue with the acting. So I did a little bit of acting school here and there. And then I did some parts which haven't really been released. But it's something, I sort of dabbled in, and it's not something that I've sort of taken to. It's more me being a singer. That's where I really am most comfortable.
And happier.
And happier, absolutely.
Well, you still got those 4 movies that you were in. So,
exactly, they're out there.
Yeah, you got Unlawful Entry and The Venture Brothers. I think Dirty Weekend. Ooh la la, I didn't see that one. And
those movies actually all used my songs, actually. So rather, I wasn't actually in them. They used, I think, Everybody's Free, Carlito's Way, which is one of the best movies ever used. I Love Music.
Yes.
And I fortunately got to meet Al Pacino as well, which was just incredible. Yeah, incredible.
5 days. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, throughout your journey, what experiences or which experiences and obstacles challenged you the most? And what are the key lessons that really stuck with you?
It's the music industry for me, being a singer, has been, when I look back to where I am now, it's been, for me personally, an up and down cycle. I haven't had, where I would say, many sort of deep dents where it's really put me off from continuing to be in my career. There was a time, I remember, when Everybody's Free broke, Are You Ready to Fly, and Faith, things were flying, things were doing so well. And then suddenly we had the boy bands and the girl bands that came out. I think it was mid-90s. Mm-hmm. And I just was signed to Sony at the time. And then things negatively started happening. The first thing that happened was I was dropped from the label, from Sony. And I thought, is this where my career ends? Then the boy bands and the girl bands were really rocking and doing their thing. And I was doing anywhere between 5 to 7 club dates per week. And, remember, that's how I earn my living. And those started sort of dying away. And I was lucky if I did 1 club date in a period of 2 or 3 months. So it became quite a scary situation for me. And I thought maybe I've had my time, you know, and it's over. And but what kept me going was, you know, there were still people that believed in me, and they're like, you know, every season has a reason. And just keep on. But when I look back, there was also a time when I met my husband, you know. So I look back and I think it gave me the opportunity for us to have a relationship and be where we are, you know. And I probably wouldn't have been able to sustain it because I was traveling so much then. So all that sort of took a slow pace. And then I took up a beauty therapy course because I thought you know, if my music ends, you know, maybe I'll open up my own beauty salon, because I thought I love how I feel when I leave a salon after having a massage. It's like therapy. Mm-hmm. So I took that up, and I'm a qualified beauty therapist. And so all that was happening, you know, but I still was doing the small club dates here and there that were coming my way. And that's how that continued for many years. And then, of course, it all started picking up again. The interest started, you know, coming back, and people wanting to work with me, wanting me to do co-write with them and stuff like that. And then, of course, we started having the back to the 90s, which has grown to be so phenomenal now. So you've got the I love the 90s, the big 90s, who needs to be at the 90s, or things like that. And that has created so much work for me. And apart from the 90s, I had the opportunity to go on and continue recording new material.
Right. Wow, that's phenomenal. But I mean, that actually ties into my next question. My next question was, what would you say was your most outstanding achievements, and what were your most humbling moments? I think you put some in together, but I'll let you answer that.
From the top of my head, I have to say, when I was a wee child, you know, going to school in Ndola, I remember there were me and my friends all freaking out at the time. The Jackson 5 were massive, and we were like, oh, we love the Jackson 5, we love the Jackson 5. And then the next thing, you know, Michael Jackson broke out and became a solo artist, and he released, in my opinion, one of the best albums in the world, Off the Wall. Yeah. You know, and of course the Jackson 5 became Jackson. So loved them. Fast forward to many years later, I find myself being a support act for Michael Jackson.
How did that happen?
I mean, it just, how that happened was I just signed to Sony, and Michael Jackson was about to embark on sadly, his last ever world tour, called the Dangerous Tour, yes. 1992. And I had, at the time in Europe, Everybody's Free to Feel Good, Faith in the Power of Love, Are You Ready to Fly, was such massive hits for me across Europe and in England. And I believe Michael asked Sony, you know, what acts are really kicking right now in Europe so they can come and, you know, support me. So I believe I was one of the artists whose videos and music they sent to Michael. And I remember being in the offices in Sony, New York, and working on my album to come with them. And they called me to say, hey, you better get back on the next flight. Michael Jackson has personally chosen you.
Wow.
My jaw, honestly, Nicky, my jaw hit the floor. I just thought, wow. And it was one of the happiest return flights I had. And yeah, that's how that came about.
Oh my goodness, that was nice. So you were singing with Michael, and you were helping him to start off his shows, right?
Yeah, I was actually a support act. So my set, I started with, I did, the tour was about 3 months to 3.5 months. So we did about 43 dates. And for the first month, it was myself and an act called Chris Rocks, I think, or I can't remember. Sorry, I'm going to get it wrong. They were two young kids from America, and they were able to do it for a month. So my set at the time was 30 minutes, and they did 30 minutes. And then they had to go back to school. And so I believe the crew, Michael Jackson's crew, thought, now we're going to keep Rozalla on as the only act, you know. And so they asked me to increase my set from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And so I continued for the next 2.5 months as Michael Jackson's support act. So I opened all his shows for him across Europe.
How long was that for?
We did it for 3.5 months, and I think we did about 43 dates.
What did you do after that?
After Michael Jackson? Well, so I had to come back to the UK, and then I was working on my own album, the Look No Further album. And I remember Michael was going on to Bucharest, I think, or something like that. And they're like, tell Rozalla to come with us. By this point, I'm like, you know what? I love you, Michael, but I've had enough. I need to go back to the UK and record my own album because, you've got yours, and it was an amazing experience. It will remain one of the highlights of my career. But I had to come back and start working on my new album. And I remember I just had a window to go and see my family in Africa for about a week to 2 weeks before I came back to start working on the album. So I sadly and begrudgingly had to say no to the next 2 to 3 dates that they offered me. So I came back and I worked on the Look No Further album, which was the album that I did for Sony.
Well, that came out quite nice as well. So it was good for you. I mean, it's like, imagine telling Michael Jackson, hold up, buddy. It's about me. It's not about you.
Right. Had to be done.
That's
but
pretty
wow.
huge.
Oh,
that's
wow.
pretty big. So what other products do you have on the horizon? And when can we expect to see more besides the Christmas one?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that, Nicky. We have been working on an album, and it should have been released, sadly, during the COVID time. But of course, everything was held back because of the pandemic. So I had the opportunity to release 3 singles during the pandemic, just to let the fans know that I'm still working on something. There's something out there. We finally almost done with the album, just 1 or 2 finishing touches here and there. And so, I'm happy to say I have a new album coming out in 2023. We don't have the exact date, but it could be, I don't know, sometime March, April, I'm not sure. But we'll have a single released before the album or during the album. I'm not really sure what Gary wants to do, but I'm just so excited. Finally, the album is.
Well, I got an answer.
Yeah.
So all our viewers that are listening to Otune Radio today and TV, please know and stay tuned for Rozalla. She's got a new album coming out. So we're going to be plastering that all over us.
Thank
So
you.
how do you manage and juggle your activities, while you're doing what you're doing, and plus live a life, you're married, you got a family, you have to do so many things. How do you manage?
As life goes along, you just find a balance. And it's important to say yes or no to some things. I am a married woman. I want to spend time with my husband. I don't want to be out on the road all the time. So I've just had to say no to certain things in order to be at home and have a life and do other things that I want to do. I look back at when I started my career, I wasn't with anyone. So I gave it my all. The way I look at it as I did my apprenticeship.
You did.
I laid the ground down, and fast forward to now, I get, thank God, get offered these shows, these dates, the opportunity to do the album and stuff like that. And the way things have now worked, Nicky, is my husband is now sort of retired or semi-retired, and he now joins me on the road.
Hey-yo.
So it's amazing. I'm like, how? This is just fantastic. So he's like, so don't turn any shows down because we're together now.
Oh, that's amazing. That's nice.
It's just worked out brilliant. So I find, he drives me to my gigs. We're together. He helps me with my clothes for stage. He's like, that
best
lipstick you
friend,
wore on
your
stage.
partner, everything.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's really good to have him full on board. And it's because when I go on stage, I usually get nervous, and he's on the side of the stage going, go and get him, babe. Go get him. Yeah. So everything, I think, just somehow falls into place as you go along in life.
Would you be open to singing and collaborating with other artists? if we put you guys together?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had the opportunity some years ago, pre-COVID, to do a duet with a very talented Scottish singer called Alan Jay.
Okay.
The track was called Breaking My Heart. So he's gay, so he was directing it at his fans. And of course, I was directing it at my fans. But we came together and did this song, and just doing this duet, which was the first time for me to collaborate with another artist, was just incredible, and Alan Jay has just such a magnificent voice. So I hope you have the opportunity to maybe, watch the video on YouTube. It's out there. And yeah, and that was great. And in fact, I'm going to use that song on my album because I don't think it got the recognition that it did. So Alan's like, just go for it. So it'll feature on my album as well.
Going back a little bit, did you sing with Kaz Khalif way back in the day?
Kaz, oh my God, Kaz got it. Yes, pre-COVID.
I found something. Pictures
Yeah,
of
I
both
did.
of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I did something. It wasn't. I could be wrong. It wasn't given a full release, but Kaz really wanted to do something with me, and he's like, I've got a studio at home. And I'm like, I know Kaz Khalif quite well. I love his voice. And I went down to his studio and he wrote the song and I loved it, and we did this track. And so I don't think it got a full release, but yeah, we did something together.
Oh, you must have heard how many songs he's released lately. I mean, the first time I heard of Kaz Khalif's song was Joling, Joling, Joling. I really love
Yes.
that one. And being not part of Africa for such a long time, it just brought me back to home because I remember that lingo. So that's how I picked it up. So
Yeah.
that was phenomenal. His voice is
Yeah,
great.
he's a top guy. I think he deserves a big break, because he really is talented and he's a really talented songwriter as well, and of course a lovely, lovely human being.
Well, we've got lots of talented people from Zimbabwe that are famous artists around the world. You've got Cheryl Hill, you've got um, Kaz Abrams as well, who's also released and sung with they did a duet together with Kaz Khalif. They've just
All
released
right.
that as well. It is
Oh,
phenomenal.
fantastic.
So we've got a lot
Fantastic.
of amazing artists coming out from Africa. What inspirational words or a way that you can give to young Zimbabwean artists to not give up hope and
Oh,
sing original content instead of certain type of words? Because the quality of songs that you had written and pushed out the positivity, they used really beautiful words that were inspiring and encouraging. So, what would you say to young artists that they shouldn't do or they should do?
well, first and foremost, coming to myself and what I went through, um, it's a very fickle industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think in some ways the music industry has gotten so much more tougher, but equally with social media, it's also helped other artists release their material themselves. I think of someone like, I think Ed Sheeran, listening to his story, he got his music out there by releasing his own material on YouTube, and then the record label came on and wanted to know him and sign him, etc. So you've got that, and you've got that platform. I mean, a lot of these youngsters are recording their stuff in their back room. You get their own little set systems and record yourself, stuff like that, and then you get the rate. You've done the work for the record label, so to speak, and then they come on board and like, yeah, we're going to sign you. But
No.
it is a fickle industry. But just never give up. That's all I can say. Never give up. There'll be times when you'll have the naysayers, people who will try and pull you away from what you believe in. But if you believe in your heart that this is what you want to do, and you believe in yourself, and you listen to constructive criticism, and just go for it.
Well, you've heard it here all the way from Surrey. You are in Surrey, right?
I am, yes.
From Rozalla, who has given you guys some positive feedback here on Otune Radio. And if there's anything else that you want to tell us about Christmas and the new year and what you're feeling about do you have any things that you're giving up or you're not giving up, for New Year? What is your do's and don'ts for New Year's?
Oh my goodness. It's always watching what I eat, but it never works out. Because show me roast potatoes and I'll be your best friend.
Oh dear.
But, obviously just to have a quiet time, spend it with family and friends over good food. And just, have a quiet time because, come 2023, hopefully I've got a busy year coming up. So Christmas and New Year's is always a time for reflection.
Absolutely.
And spending it with family and friends and just enjoying your life and taking one day at a time.
Oh, well, on the 1st of January, everybody has made a resolution that they're going to give up eating this and I'm never drinking again. And all these resolutions that only last until the 29th, maybe.
Yeah, right.
January.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So pushing forward, are you going to, sorry for cutting you off. Are you
carry on.
Are you going to be on tour as well, or are you just going to concentrate on the album?
No, I'll be on tour. I've got a few gigs lined up starting. I've got a few gigs around in about January, February, and March, and then things begin to kick off starting April, where I think I got about 30 somewhat gigs in my diary so far. So there'll be a lot of traveling. So that's what I'm saying. Christmas, New Year's, time for reflection, time to relax. And of course, I love working out, which keeps me fit and strong and able to go out and do what I love doing, the travel, etc., etc. And so far, Nicky, what I also want to say, as long as you love doing what you do, whatever that might be in anyone's field, you're doing all right.
Any thoughts about coming to Canada?
Maybe I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I would love to.
Let us work on doing a collaboration with a couple of very, very well-known artists here, which I think your voice and theirs would work out perfectly. I think I did mention and send a song to you.
Yes.
And I think that some songs would be good, but there are other people that would love to collaborate with you. So let's work on that.
Let's work on that. You put it out there so you never know where this will go. I would love that.
It would be nice to have you in the winter time. Summertime is pretty busy, but they have the jazz festivals in Toronto. They have the music festivals from June, July, August time here. It's extremely busy. It would be nice to have you here with no lockdowns. Everybody will be there right on the lake in Toronto. Would love to have you.
Oh, we put it out there, Nicky. So watch the space.
Watch the space. Watch the space. Rozalla Miller, thank you very much for this beautiful interview and this opportunity to get to know you and all our guests. We will be following up and having another, hopefully, meeting with Rozalla to find out what's up in the new year.
Definitely. I would be so honored. And I thank you so much for this, Nicky. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helped him make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa is on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And voices together will make it through. Someday your spirit will lift you and take you there. I know you've been hurting, but I'll be there waiting to be there for you. And I'm here there just helping you out whenever I can. 'Cause everybody's free to feel good. Everybody's free to feel good. Hi everybody, Rozalla here. To all the energized friends and family, Merry Christmas to you all.